Welcome back to the 9th Gym program, and today I'm bringing a combo guide video. I've done a couple of these in the past, a couple of duos and a couple of trick rooms, strategy guides, and stuff like that. So if you like this kind of video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It really does make a difference. Anyway, into the video. So Regigigas and Weezing combo has been pretty popular recently, grabbing a couple of tops here and there, especially in the Players' Cup 2. One finished top 8, I believe. I think it was second, actually. And then one in North America qualifiers got top 8 as well. So there have been 2 cases of this in the last few weeks, or I guess like last month, but that this is done well at. And I think, this is definitely something that we could see in the Players' Cup 3. So trying to, prep you a little bit for Players' Cup 3. So Regigigas and Weezing combo, the basic idea is that Regigigas sucks. But Weezing makes it good. So Regigigas has the ability slow start that makes its attack and speed halved during the first 5 turns. So that's not very good, especially since its attack and speed, its attack is very good. 160 base is insane, but in half, it's not that good. And same with the speed at 100, pretty good, but in half, it's not that good. So, you have those big weaknesses, but Weezing has the ability neutralizing gas, which, well, it neutralizes that ability. While it's in play, all effects and abilities of all of these Pokemon on the field will not be triggered. They're also nullified. So even though Regigigas, actually a Regigigas does trigger, but it's nullified, which is really, really good. It makes it now a attack 160 base and speed 100 base, while also having ridiculous other stats of HP, defense, and special defense all at 110. This Pokemon it becomes like an absurdly massive Pokemon. You Dynamax it, you have really strong max attacks as well as just really, really powerful attacks on a pretty good base speed Pokemon that has speed control with Max Strike. It becomes a really good team. But now you have the weakness of Weezing. If it dies, you die. That's really what it comes down to. Because now, whenever neutralizing gas leaves, so if it switches out or it faints, then Regigigas starts its slow start 5 more turns. Even if that already happened for 2 turns, now when Weezing dies, now Regigigas is like, well, I guess we're slow starting. And now you have 5 turns to sit there and be a brick, a terrible Pokemon on the field. So it has a couple of weaknesses, but the pros are so strong that this is a good team. Anyway, let's talk about it. So Regigigas, let's go ahead and give a little set for both of these Pokemon. So Regigigas, a lot of people will use either 3 or 4 attacks, with Giga Impact being their biggest one, being a Max Strike, Strong Stab move with Life Orb, and then good coverage moves like High Horsepower, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch. There's a bunch of moves that you can use. And then Protect, a lot of the time, if you don't want to use Protect, you can also use 4 attacks. You have options there. And it's pretty good. A good basic place to start this Pokemon is just 252 into attack and speed and Jolly Nature just to make it as fast as possible. So, pretty basic Regigigas spread there. Now, let's talk about Weezing real quick. So, Weezing is a Poison-type Pokemon, so you have big weaknesses of ground. So, you can go Focus Sash or Shuka Berry. However, you want to not take a lot of damage right off the bat. Either one of those ways works. So that's good. You have Neutralizing Gas, of course, is the ability. You're not going to be changing that because that is the entire strat, or, the big piece of the strat. And then you have moves like a Sludge Bomb that you're going to use, for damage. But then you also have really good supporting moves like Will-O-Wisp and Taunt, Protect. I think it has Haze. It has a lot of really good moves that Weezing gets access to. And then you're going to be investing into Bulk and Speed, most likely. You could go Special Attack, but probably Bulk and Speed. So overall, those are kind of the main ways of play for these Pokemon. Let's talk about pros and cons of the actual team itself. So, pros is speed control. You have strong Max Strikes with Regigigas, which is obviously very good. So Max Strike is really good. You have power. This Pokemon is unbelievably strong with max attacks that are really good, as well as its base attack 160, investment, and then you have other ways to support it. It can be really good. Life Orb, the Pokemon, it does a lot of damage. So if you're looking for just a team that does raw damage, Regigigas works really well. Another pro is that Regigigas only has 1 weakness, which is fighting. Of course, we have a couple of really strong fighting type Pokemons in the meta, especially Urshifu being really, really big, kind of everywhere. Close combat with Choice Band, it does a lot of damage, 50 to 70% most likely. It's going to do a lot of damage, but you only have 1 weakness to look out for, so that is something that's really good. You can even go for the berry. Is it Akka? No, Akka's. It's one of the berries. You could even go for the fighting weakness berry if you want to, so that could be an option. And then the last pro that I have listed here is versatile support. So along with Weezing, you have a lot of supportive moves that comes with Weezing, but you can also, this is only a duo pair of a strat for your team. So you only have 2 Pokemon, so you can build around it with a lot of versatile Pokemon. You can build around it with a lot of strong Pokemon. You have a very, very versatile team that you can mold together, because you only have 2 Pokemon, so you can add any kind of 4 Pokemon that you want. So it's a low amount of effort that has to be put towards your team to be able to change it up. I feel like I worded that really weirdly, but oh well. So yeah, that's what I have for the pros. And then for some of the cons, so we talked about this already. If Weezing dies, you die. Weezing dies, Regigigas has to then restart its slow start or start up its slow start. So that's obviously a big weakness. So having Protect is a must. Focus Sash or Shuka Berry is a must. Bulk is, pretty recommended. So you have a lot of different things there. But if Weezing dies, it's pretty rough, and now you're behind in the game. When, Weezing really just eliminates the being behind factor. It pretty much just starts you off really, really good. The second con I have here is linear. So the reason that I say this is very linear is because your opponent, like, if you know what Regigigas Weezing does, then you just have to play around it by playing through it, really. You can't really go around it, you have to go through it. So you have to, like, knock out Weezing, or, you could 2-shot Regigigas, but Regigigas is probably one-shotting anything that you're 2-shotting it with, so it's still pretty rough. But maybe, like, Focus Sash, Max Invested Adamant Urshifu will live, and then you can attack it again, but it's pretty weird. So yeah, it's pretty linear. So if you bring out Regigigas and Weezing, your opponent knows what you're doing mostly, so they can play through it or around it pretty accordingly. So you definitely want to be, like, very, very well practiced with this team to take it to an event. And then for the last con I have, it's weird. It's a weird strat. Come on, we're not kidding ourselves by saying this is weird. Regigigas Weezing, come on, this is weird, man. It's weird, right? Weezing dies, Regigigas sucks. Regigigas dies, Weezing sucks. It's weird. If your opponent can knock out the corresponding Pokemon at the right time, your whole strategy kind of falls. It's a weird strat. Don't sugarcoat it. It's weird. Anyway, one more thing that I wanted to talk about before we move on is Weezing is actually really cool. It has a couple of other usages, which is really good. You have things like you can stop Intimidate from Lando and Incineroar, which is really cool. You can stop Weather. You can stop Prankster-type Pokemon with Neutralizing Gas. It has a whole lot of different really cool things that it can do, a lot of good applications, more than just Regigigas. So, yeah, just wanted to say that. Anyway, that is it for this section. Let's go ahead and talk about some support and some scary things. So, first off, for support, a lot of the teams that have been proven use things like Regieleki and Urshifu, just strong guys. It's good to have strong supporting Pokemon in the back that don't need to support. They're just there and good for almost any matchup, really. You can bring it almost any time. So you'll bring out your Pokemon, your Regigigas Weezing combo, and you clear 1 or 2 Pokemon before they knock out your Weezing, or before they knock out your Regigigas, or before they burn it and intimidate it into the ground. They're probably not intimidating, but they could burn it. So yeah, you have a couple of things there that you take out a couple of Pokemon, and now you have 2 Pokemon, and you're like, okay, what are my good Pokemon in the back? Well, they're always going to be good. You have things like the strong Regieleki, and you have things like the strong Choice Band Urshifu. You have a lot of different things. Like, they're good in most matchups, so of course they make sense to be on most teams. Like I said, this is only a 2 Pokemon combo. It's a duo pair, if you will. And so you can fit a lot of other things on your team. So you can fit something like Weather Strat. We've seen Torkoal Venu on it. We've also, haven't seen every weather, but I'm sure other weathers would work. You could use a Rain team in the back. You could use Sandcore in the back. You could even use Blizzard in the back, like weird Blizzard strats, Arctivish, Abomasnow, stuff like that. It's cool. So, being a very versatile team and only a pair, you can add these cool, other pairings to it without still having other good Pokemon on your team. And then the last support I have here is just good stuff cores. We've seen things like Amoonguss Incineroar in the past. We see Rillaboom Incineroar now. These cores are, once again, just strong guys. So you could just put on your Weezing Regigigas team, you could just put in Regieleki, and the Urshifu and Incineroar Rillaboom, and your team is looking pretty stacked and very, you know, blatantly good. You know, you have your duo team that's good in a certain time, and then you also have your good stuff cores in the back that are always good, almost always good. So, you know, that's a good way to build this team with just good stuff, and that's really all it comes down to. As far as Yikes matchups, I've played this team a good bit of the time. I've played a good bit of games with this team and a couple of different teams with Regigigas Weezing, and a couple of problems that I've ran into. So first off, Metagross was a pretty difficult matchup at the very beginning. You know, usually with Tailwind, that can be pretty tough, you know, max striking it, of course, but max striking doesn't do much damage. You don't really have any good coverage for this Pokemon. You know, obviously you have high horsepower, so you have pretty strong max quakes. With Life Orb, you're doing like 30 to 50 to 60% for sure into a Dynamax and Metagross, but then their weakness policy procking, they're doing a lot of damage back. You know, they're able to take out Weezing pretty quickly. It can get pretty rough. It can get pretty rough for sure. So, you know, Metagross can be a pretty tough matchup in my experience. The next tough matchup that I had a pretty hard time dealing with is Glastrier. It's very, very bulky. It's unbelievably bulky. Even when you hit super effective moves, which you don't really have any coverage for super effective moves, this thing is just so bulky, and it does so much damage, especially after weakness policy or even with just Life Orb. And then after a couple of knockouts, Chilling Neigh makes this thing like unbelievably strong while being unbelievably bulky. Not to mention Trick Room can be a little tough, especially since our best tool is Max Strike. You don't really want to be lowering speed of your opposing Pokemon's Pokemon during... That wasn't right. You don't want to lower your opponent's speed during Trick Room, because that's just pretty counterintuitive. And then the last Pokemon here that I've had a hard time with is Urshifu. You know, Choice Band Urshifu is pretty capable of two-shotting the Regigigas, and like I said, we're able to one-shot it as well, but, you know, a lot of damage is a lot of damage, and they do that, and then a couple of strong attacks with, like, Regilecky or something. Regigigas is going down, and now you're stuck with a pretty terrible Weezing, and then, you know, some good Pokemon. So yeah, this is something. And then last but not least, if Weezing dies, you die. That's really all I got to say there. Anyway, that is about it for support and likes. We have the last slide here. It's just proven teams. It's the two teams that I was talking about that made top 8 and 2nd place in Players' Cup and Players' Cup qualifications. So, you know, these are very powerful teams. We see the cores that I was talking about. Sun Core, Good Stuff Core, Strong Guys cores. And then we have, of course, like, other good stuff as well. Tapu Fini can support it pretty well by setting up the Surge. You have Rotom that can be good as a good switch for your Weezing. You know, it has Levitate, so that's pretty cool. You have a couple of really good things there, and both of these are really good players. Alexander Hill, Lexicon, really showing off in 2020. David Carr, really showing off in 2020. I'm sure these players have infinite amounts of good, you know, tops and placements, but 2020 they really showed off, and they brought the Weezing Regigigas strat to Players' Cups, and they've done well at these qualifications and Players' Cup in general. So, awesome stuff. Rental codes are right next to them if you want to try these out pre-Players' Cup. Definitely test with the team or against the team so that you know what to do, how to deal with it, as it is a very strong strat. So, yeah. Anyway, that is about it for the video. That's all I have. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It really makes a huge difference. About 30% of the people that watch my videos are subscribed, so you should hit that button. It makes a huge difference. It's free, and it's easy, and I'd love you. Anyway, that is it. Thanks so much for watching. All the links, all my social links will be down in the description here. Twitch, Twitter, Discord, social medias, stuff like that. So do it up. And, yeah, if you like these videos, let me know. Any other strats, let me know. Goodbye. Have a good week. Have a good weekend.